straight to our top story then, Krishna. It's a deal that's had the startup world agog all week because it's not every day that two relatively unknown entrepreneurs from Mumbai, two brothers to be precise, hit pay dirt and sold their venture for a whopping $900 million. We are, of course, talking about the Turakhia brothers here, Divyank and Bhavik, who have done ventures in the past as well. In fact, they floated their first venture when Divyank was just 14 years old, both brothers still in their teens. They sold that successfully and then went on to host a lot of startups via this channel called Directly. But the company we are talking about is Media.net, which is really in the area of contextual advertising, works with the likes of Microsoft, Yahoo. And this week, they sold that to a Chinese group of investors for $900 million, clearly one of the biggest deals in recent times and coming in a space like AdTech. Now, this is, of course, going to be a two-step transaction. First, investors will put in this money, and then it will be sold to a Chinese telecom company. But we really have the man of the moment, as you said, the founder and CEO of Media.net, the younger of the Turakhia brothers, Divyank Turakhia, joining us all the way from San Francisco, right here on ET Now Startup Central. Divyank, thank you so much for joining us. It's been a couple of days since that $900 million deal got announced. Has the feeling sunk in that, you and your brother are now billionaires, and have you decided on what you're going to spend on yet? We hear that you already have a private plane.
So this is not the first transaction that we've done. We have, obviously, this is the largest transaction that I've done so far at $900 million. In 2014, we'd done a transaction where we sold 4 of the brands that we own to the Endurance Group for about $160 million. And even prior to that, we've had various different successes. So I think many, many years ago, we reached a point where we have more than enough money, where we're never going to be able to get to spend it. So in that sense, it makes absolutely no difference. I think what's good here is we love what we do, and we continue to get to do it, and hopefully, we keep doing more and more of it, and we have lots of additional plans for Media.net specifically.
Divyank, this is Krishna Kumar here, coming to you from ET Now's Mumbai studios. I hope you can hear me well now. I wanted to ask you first up, how much of this is likely to find its way back to Indian startups?
So our India investments are very limited to the businesses that we run focused in India. We have 2 incredible India-focused startups right now that Bhavin is running. One is Ringo, which is a communication startup, and the second one is Zeta, which is a payment startup. As and when those startups need more funding, of course, they have access to our global corpus. Most of the funds that we manage, or that I manage, are all globally allocated across a diversified set of portfolios.
Divyank, the AdTech space is not a very hot space to be in right now. It's seeing a lot of stress in many markets. So what did you do correctly to, really get that $900 million for your company that others in the AdTech space haven't been able to do? I mean, if you look at InMobi here in India, they've clearly been going through a rough patch in the last few months. So, what did you get right that others didn't as far as AdTech is concerned?
So firstly, AdTech is massive, right? AdTech is a massive, massive industry. Depending on whatever report you read, it's somewhere between $160 to $200 billion this year, and growing. And it's growing in many different markets. As you know, about 90% of our revenue comes from the US, about 5% from Canada and UK, and 5% the rest of the world. China, and that's the reason that and that was a strong consideration of one of the reasons that we picked this particular partner in China, and we had high interest in Media.net. Unlike many of the other ad tech companies, we had 7 bidders in our final round from US, Europe, and China. And it's all about how you build that business, the kind of portfolio of products that we built in Media.net, the technology that we've been able to create, the growth that we've been able to create, the scale, the consistency, the quality of customers. Our customers are some of the largest known brands that basically validates our tech.
Divyank, as we're celebrating this big deal, lots of questions around why the deal has been structured in this two-step fashion. First, one tranche of investment from a clutch of investors, and then a reverse merger into Miteno. Can you give us some clarity here on 18 Hours Startup Central?
The reason is very simple. If you are public in China, and which Mitano is, and which is the company that wants to do the transaction, and they have access to the funds, and they already know how to complete the transaction. But there are various regulatory approvals that need to be gotten before they can close it. This was a competitive bidding process. We had 7 parties in our final round. If they waited to get all the approvals, then there was no way that they would close in time and they would be dropped out of the process. And hence, the only process that they could use was they created a consortium. The consortium buys Media.net, and that part of the transaction is fully closed. And then, as and when the public entity completes to get all the regulatory approvals that they need to get in order to close it, they would buy that in turn from the consortium.
Divyank, also some concerns about the Chinese firm that you're going with, Miteno. It's relatively an obscure telecom firm, and its shares have been suspended from trading. Any reason why you still decided to go with this particular company, and were there offers from others as well?
It's called HALT in China. So this is how. So if you are a Chinese publicly listed company and you're going to do a major transaction that is large, then you have to pause trading. This exists as a rule for every Chinese publicly listed company. It's one of the rules that the regulators have put into place, and a very good one, specifically for China, to protect the minority interests, because their concern is there will be insider trading if the discussions are ongoing and the stock is allowed to trade. Mitano has been in market now looking at various different options in the ad tech industry that they wanted to complete a deal with or close a deal with for the growth plans and the global expansion plans that they have. And hence they had to halt trading. That was the only way to do this.
Divyank, on this momentous occasion, if you look back through all your ventures, you chose to do it through the bootstrapping way without raising money externally. Tell us what lessons does this have for startups in India who are currently struggling to raise funds?
I think different businesses have different business models. We have been extremely good with tech. I think our 2 core competencies have always been we're better in tech in comparison to everybody else. And 2 is we're better at figuring out how to get more operational efficiencies out of any process than everybody else. We understand those strengths. We double down on those strengths. We work out strategies that allow us to consistently grow with whatever level of resources that we have. And then keep reinvesting those profits for growth. I think the startups that have challenges in terms of finding capital, because there's a lot of capital out there, are either looking for specific terms that they're not finding, or they're looking for funds for ideas where the business plans are not fully understood. I mean, they might be great ideas, but they might not be fully understood by the market or by the investors.
Final question, Divyank, which brings me to the relationship with your brother Bhavin. I mean, all the ventures in the last 2 decades have been together, and it's interesting that you two have this very good work dynamic, because a lot of sibling combinations, brother combinations, especially in Indian business families, at least here in India, have ended in rivalry, and very bitter rivalry in some cases. Yet you two have stuck together for the last 2 decades. Tell us how that happened.
So let me say this, not the last 2 decades. I am 34 right now. We've stuck together for 34 years, at least. And the good part is, look, I mean, it's incredible to work with people that you can trust, and who can you trust more than your own brother? I understand different dynamics exist in different families. I mean, we've just been very close. We've had the same interests. We've had similar friends. When we first started, when we were really young, we did everything together. Obviously, as the business has started to grow, that changed because of scale. Around 2005, I started running a separate business called Skenzo, which was our domain advertising business, or my first foray into the advertising world. In 2010, I built Media.net, and I found Media.net, and I built it from ground up. In Bhavin, in the meantime, has been building a whole set of other businesses. And together, we basically continue to build businesses, and we'll continue bouncing off ideas together and continue hanging out together, and that's never going to change. Also from a money perspective, look, I mean, like I said, we've had enough. We grew up in a standard Indian middle class family. Growing up, we've had more than enough for a long period of time. We primarily do this because we love it. We love building businesses. We love things that are scalable. We love solving complex problems. And we expect to continue doing so for a very long time to come.
Find us on Facebook at facebook.com/ETNow, and don't forget to click the like button. You can also follow us on Twitter at ETNowLive. To stay updated with all our programming, hit the subscribe button on our YouTube channel by logging on to youtube.com/user/ETNow.